Hey guys, welcome to part 2 of how to actually improve at Tekken. So this video is going to be all about movement, so that's things like general movement, move evasiveness, move utility, things like that. So if you haven't seen the first video, it's all about mentality and how to build a healthy mentality so that you can actually improve in Tekken, as opposed to just kind of like jumping in and expecting to improve because, I don't know if there's a single thing on planet Earth where you can just improve by throwing your head against the wall. I'm sure there is, but efficiently and effectively, probably not. Anyway, so today we're going to be talking about general movement, sidestepping, backdashing, Korean backdashing, blah, 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 right? So who this video is for? This video is for beginners and intermediate players. I don't think advanced players really have... I don't think there's anything that they could really get from this video. Maybe just like a reminder that certain things exist, but not really. And the reason why I say that is because, I mean, they might know... I would imagine that they'd know more than me, right? Considering they're advanced players. They're, you know, when I say advanced, I'm talking about things like if you're, I guess in this game, like Raijin and above, I don't think you need to know much about movement. Unless you're playing like Alisa or or King or something like that, that'll just give you free ranks. If you're a Mishima player, or Steve or Paul or Brian or any one of these other characters that it has like fundamental Tekken requirements, then if you're in those ranks, there's nothing I can teach you. You are a master of your game. But anyway, I digress. So let's just start off with something that I think a lot of people struggle with, and that's beginners and sidestepping. So we're going to go into general movement. That means forward, backwards, and to the sides. All right. So obviously you know about your forward dash, you know about your back dash, you know about your sidestepping, or maybe you don't. And if you don't, then, I mean, every single commentator, if you've ever watched a Tekken tournament, will remind you, Tekken is a 3D game. And that's what they mean is, oh, you could sidestep to the sides, foreground, background. This is background, this is foreground. And for my intermediate players who get tired of hearing that from commentators, oh, this is a 3D game, you have to keep in mind that maybe it's been a long time since you've been in the, you know, like teal, green, yellow, orange ranks, but truthfully, you don't really see anybody sidestepping in those ranks. And the obvious reason for that is either they don't understand the utility of it, they get punished whenever they try it, or maybe they just have no idea about it in the first place and they're jumping and they're trying to sidestep and they get a jump because you're just supposed to tap it, right? So, I mean, it wasn't that long ago that I was a beginner myself, and Tekken might have been my very first 3D game, I think. I remember playing like Dead or Alive 4. I even remember playing Tekken 3 in like arcades a bajillion years ago, but I was a kid, right? Like the concept of 3D to me was like the models are 3D. I had no idea that the entire game was, or at least not the theory of, you know, moving around your opponent like this, right? But anyway, so to understand the utility of moving foreground and background, you have to understand that moves in this game have hitboxes. So when you throw a jab out, it's not exactly the actual fist that hits the person in front of you. There's this tiny red box that appears around Jin's arm, and that arm is a very tiny square. That is what makes contact with the opponent and hits them. So naturally, if you move out of the way of that tiny red box, you will not be hit by it, okay? Understanding that will allow you to understand that moves are very linear. This is a very linear move. It goes straight up down the middle, meaning it's a very sidesteppable move. So is this one. His fist just comes out directly in front of him. Wow, that range is still pretty crazy. This is a linear move. It goes straight out in front of him. Now, what isn't a linear move? Moves like this one with that blue glow that kind of goes around his foot. This is a homing move, meaning it follows the opponent to both sides. So if the other Jin were to try and sidestep either direction. This move is meant to catch that, right? Now, there are other moves, like this one, for example, that has the same effect. You cannot sidestep this move. Basically, if it goes around the world, if he does like a 360 back fist, chances are it's a homing move. If it has like an aura around it, or like homing lines like this, chances are you cannot step it. So what are some moves that you might be having trouble with that you could step? Well, for Jin, it would be this forward 2, Demon Paw. It might be his forward 4. It might be his electric. It might be his down forward 1. It might be his jab. It might be his grabs. Well, not this one anymore, but this one. The only homing throws in this game as of 1.05 are basic throws that could be broken in either direction. Oops. Or with either button, 1 or 2. Throws is an entirely different thing, though. Basically what I'm saying is, command throws are now non-homing, meaning they could be stepped. Hallelujah, right? So, all this to say, the utility of sidestepping is incredibly important, and it allows you to take back your turn in situations where you normally would not have a choice. You would have to block, right? Well, not necessarily. Not in Tekken. In Tekken, there's always meant to be some form of counterplay. So this is, I did it accidentally, but this is also a linear move, which means that so is that one. You can sidestep both of these. So for my beginners, all I want to say to you really is, if you are afraid of sidestepping, you need to overcome that by simply just trying it. What I mean by that is, oh, you got a jab? Sidestep. They blocked a jab? Sidestep. In either direction, doesn't matter. You got a down forward 1? Sidestep it. Like if you throw one and they block it, sidestep it. Just try it. So now when I do this, he throws a jab. Okay. Let's do it on standing block. So we're neutral, basically. Whoops, that's minus 14. But this is, I'm +1, right, on block. Sidestep. Look at that. Whoops, that was too slow. Now, can I do it both sides? Yes. Can I do it down forward 1? Yes, I can. Whoops. Okay, so you can't really sidestep it to this direction. Can you? Nope. So you have to do it the other direction. These are important things to know, right? What about a 2? That leaves us neutral. Can I do it both sides? Yes, you can. Forward 4. I don't know if that even hit me. Let me see. No, okay. So this is one of those moves that puts you in range to punish if they try to jab, which is interesting. That's a different thing that I'll talk about in a little bit. But the important thing for my beginners is to understand that you can actually do things even when you're negative. So in this case, you're -3. You can actually sidestep things even when you're negative. Or your turn isn't necessarily over at -3. And this is the case for a lot of different moves. Man, that's -16 if you stop. That's crazy. Okay, so what are some other moves we could try? Let's see. 2-1 leaves us at -3. So if we do it, we should be able to sidestep it. Perfect. Now, this is assuming that they're doing a 1 jab, right? So let's see. What if they tried to punish with a down forward 1? Well, this move has more startup, right? At -13. So this one you could actually ooh, wait. Oh, wow, it tracks to the left side. So you have to sidestep it the other direction. This is interesting. And this is stuff that you should learn based on your character. Different characters have different sidestep utility. Like, for example, Lily has the best sidestep in the game, and it can avoid like 95% of moves. Jin isn't so good. I believe he can sidestep about 50% of moves. But, you know, if you're not sure, the easiest thing you could do is sidestep and block. Sidestep, block. Sidestep, block. Sidestep, block. Oop, I got it, right? If you're not sure, sidestep, block. And again, for my beginners, the important thing for you to understand is that you have to just try to do it. It's not something that will click until you get into the habit of trying for yourself. Don't be afraid to get punished for sidestepping, because ultimately there will come a time where you will get rewarded for sidestepping Sorry guys, this is me from the future. There's one thing I forgot to mention in the sidestepping section, so I'm going back just to kind of bring this up. And the thing that I'm going to bring up here is, since patch 1.05, things have changed for the better. So before patch 1.05, there was very little counterplay to heat related things. So for example, heat burst and heat smash, you fucker, and heat smash were very difficult to sidestep, okay? That is not the case anymore. In version 1.05, hallelujah, you can sidestep both of these options. So you can sidestep heat burst, which is insane. I mean, think about what this means for us, right? This is crazy. The other thing is we can sidestep heat smash. Look at this. This is insane. I mean, you could always sidestep heat smashes, but in versions 1.05, they've made it a lot easier. This is crazy. I shouldn't have to explain why this is insane. So now, more than ever, it is essential to learn how to sidestep for my beginners and my intermediate players. If you're pushing your opponent to the brink, they're stressed out, they're thinking about, you know, calling grandma and telling them they're giving up because this match is too much. They're about to die. They have nothing but heat left as a resource. Expect the heat burst. They're gonna do it, dude. Why is that not working? Oh, I'm slow as hell, that's why. They're gonna do it, dude, so just get out of its way. Man, that's interesting. So that it has a strong side? If you're -3, you cannot... I guess it's because he's throwing it with his right arm. You can do it if you're +3, but you can't do it if you're -3. That's interesting as hell. What? Okay. That was all I wanted to say about that, so let's go back to the normal video now. The utility of sidestepping is endless, and we could talk about it all day. But for my beginners, the important thing to know is just try it. So let's talk about sidewalking. Sidewalking is essentially just a more effective version of sidestepping. The risk is higher, but the reward is greater. So we'll just try and sidestep a hell sweep just to show you the effectiveness of a sidestep versus a sidewalk. Okay, so that's a sidestep. Now let's try sidewalk. Alright, so you get a little more range when you sidewalk than when you sidestep. How do you do a sidewalk? You basically just tap it once and then hold it. So tap once and then push it again and hold it. Same with the other direction. This being down, this being up. Obviously you want to kind of time this a little bit better, but you're supposed to sidewalk this. A sidestep is not enough. I mean, unless you're like Lily or something, then maybe. But you really want to walk this. And obviously, if you manage to sidewalk this... Whoops, too slow. There's a lot of things you could do, right? Everybody knows if you get a back punish, you get big damage. I expect you to practice your back turn, your opponent back turn combos once you get the hang of sidestepping, because you might actually have to do it. And that's, you know, an incredible thing for a beginner when they go from not being able to sidestep at all to suddenly they can do like a back turn grab, right? Something that you've probably never even seen before is that characters have different grabs for different directions, right? For different situations like back turns, side throws, and forward throws and stuff like that, right? So, I mean, just to conclude for my beginners, please just try it. I know it's scary. I know you might lose matches because of it, but you have to understand that in the bigger picture, learning how to sidestep is infinitely more useful to you as a player than being whatever rank you want to be. Being red rank instead of learning how to sidestep is not really something that you want to be. I'd rather be a yellow rank with fundamental knowledge over sidestepping and its utility than a red rank who plays 2D Tekken. Oh, right? This is your brain on 2D Tekken. But true Tekken gangsters will understand that sidestepping is a very useful thing to do and utilize it even when they know the risks are big. Like just to really nail into you how effective sidestepping is. Sidestepping is effective from rank 0 all the way to top 8 tournaments. The understanding of sidestepping, being able to sidestep, knowing when to sidestep, is effective from the very beginning until the very end. So why would you not try to learn it, is my question. Okay, so for my intermediate players, sidestepping. Obviously it gets a little different, right, for us, because sidestepping is something that people will, use against us, and we will try to use against them. In our ranks, it's very common to see people sidestepping things. The issue at our ranks is that we don't really know how to utilize homing moves in order to lock down people that are trying to sidestep us, right? So one of the biggest things that I would recommend is, I played Dragunov in Tekken 7, and I used to play against my buddy who's a Lily main and a pro player. And so unfortunately for me, but maybe not unfortunate, I had to learn how to deal with their sidestepping really quickly, because they were moving all around me. I felt like an idiot. So for Dragunov, one of his best homing tracking moves is back 3. It's a high, but it comes out in 14 frames. You could throw a down forward 1, follow it up with a back 3. You need to find the move that you have that is homing with quick startup, so that you could just catch these fuckers trying to sidestep. And I'll just show what that looks like right now, I guess. Let me see. So he's going to try to sidestep me to his left. I'm going to switch that to right just so that you could see that better. Okay. Right? He's doing this shit. He's going to dodge a jab or a down forward 1 or whatever, right? Look at that. Oh my god. That's incredible. You could just duck all this. Or sorry, you could duck all this, but you can also sidestep it like nothing. Alright. So, do one of these, follow it up with that, right? Yeah, they might be able to duck it, but they're not really going to... they're not going to expect you to throw a bunch of random jabs out, right? You're probably going to throw a mid-check, which looks like this. That's why this move tracks to that side. So, you need to find the move that will help you with this situation. Damn, blue sparks are cool. Anyway, back 3 for Dragunov, 4 for Jin, and I mean, I'm not really sure there's much more for me to divulge on this. If you're an intermediate player, you should know what your weaknesses are in terms of movement, and be able to work on them. And this is just sidestepping. This is just general sidestepping and general sidewalking, right? So this section here is basically more for beginners. I think in the beginner ranks, it's difficult to get new players to learn how to sidestep and use sidestepping. And in the intermediate ranks, it's difficult to get people to punish sidestepping. At the advanced rank, it's such a back and forth that you're basically going to be playing mind games with your opponent. And that's not something that I can teach. A mind game is something that comes with time and experience, so it's more important for you to understand the utility of these different options, and then with enough experience and time, you'll learn how to leverage those to beat more advanced players. So that's it for sidestepping. I feel like I could probably go a little more in-depth with sidewalking, but truthfully, the most important thing is just to get you out there and get started. I could show you and I could tell you a million times, but you'll likely forget by the time that you go on ranked. So it's more important for me to just tell you to please just try sidestepping. If there's anything you remember from this video at all as a beginner, it is to please try moving laterally. Please try moving to the foreground. Please try moving to the background. And that's pretty much it for sidestepping and sidewalking. That's pretty much it for both beginners and intermediates. My beginners need to learn how to move side to side, and my intermediate players need to learn how to punish people moving side to side, or at least to keep it in their brains if they're getting sidestepped, right? Okay, so now we're going to be talking about general forward and backward movement and spacing in general, right? There are a couple different ways to do this, right? There's the obvious forward dash, backdash. Then there's things like Korean backdash, which mine sucks, but, you know, I have it, but it does suck. Ugh. It's so just... In this game, it doesn't feel as good as it used to, and that's because it's been kind of nerfed. Backwards movement in general in Tekken 8 has been nerfed. But in place of that, they gave you a pretty decent backdash. But obviously, this used to be like so crazy in Tekken 7. Not so much anymore. Okay. So for my beginners, if you know what Korean backdashing is, get it out of your system. That's not important at all to beginners. You don't even understand the utility of sidestepping. So understanding Korean backdashing is kind of like, I don't know, it's like trying to drive a commercial truck before learning how to drive a tiny sedan, right? It doesn't make any sense. So the important thing for you to understand really is when should you backdash, when should you forward dash, and when should you walk, when should you run, right? So to run, I mean, you got to do it from distance, or you could triple tap triple tap forward. So, okay, when should you move forward, when should you move backwards? Moving forward is obvious if you have like an advantage, right? So let's say you have this, right? You want to move forward because you want to capitalize on your advantage, right? You want to get something called Oki, which means an opportunity on their ground game. So you have this, you want to do something with it, right? That's when you would move forward. You don't really want to move forward in a dumb way, because you might get caught with something like an electric. Okay. Oh, you're walking forward, you get launched, right? So obviously you want to maybe dash forward and then hold back, or dash forward and hold down, right? Duck, and then you could do something like launch, right? I know this is kind of crazy for a beginner. So let me try and break this down for you in a simpler way. You don't want to really move forward without a plan. So whether that's move forward sidestep or move forward duck, or you probably don't want to do that one unless you know what you're doing, or move forward and hold back, right? Never just go in like this unless they're absolutely scared of you and you could tell. Like if they're scared to death that you're gonna do something when you run in, one of the like, I guess you could do one of those, right? And they'll probably get hit by everything in beginner ranks, of course. Maybe not later. Later they'll just sidestep whenever you run in because they've been hit by that too much. They've grown up and out of that. So for beginners, moving forward isn't as important as learning how to move backwards. Chances are you know that if you run in, you're going to get hit. You're going to get caught by something. But a lot of players don't understand that as long as you're hitting backwards, you're blocking. So let's say they're doing one of these. Let me change this punish. That's a scary punish. I don't like it. So now whenever he blocks, he's going to do that. Right? So take note of how I'm being hit by everything here. Okay? Now let's try throwing in backdashes while we're being hit by that. Huge difference, right? Suddenly you're not being hit by any of it. Now let's try doing it, and then let's throw a sidestep. Right? So now we got sidesteps. Now let's try a sidewalk. Whoops. Alright, so obviously moves track, right? But the important thing to note is that you have another option. You don't just have to take all this. You could throw backdashes in and get out of it. You don't have to just sit there and block. You could, but you don't have to take that. You can actually just start throwing backdashes in there. And now the reason why Korean backdash in this case is kind of not good is because your Korean backdash has to be so on point that you won't get hit by these. Because keep in mind, your you're ducking now. You're throwing a duck and you're throwing a neutral into your movement. If you don't know how a backdash is done, it's done by essentially doing back, down, forward, back, neutral, back, down, forward, back, neutral, back, down, forward, back, neutral. I'll just show you with the overlay on so that you can understand a little bit easier. So this is what that looks like, right? Mine is terrible. My Korean backdash is terrible, but that's the point is there are holes in your defense that could be punished, and one of the moves that the opponent is using in this case is the down forward one. So you could see it's not very viable. In the best case, I'm not being hit, but I'm being locked down, and in the worst case, I'm going to be caught by one of those down forward ones while I'm holding down back. So while I'm holding the down back portion of this move, or sorry, Korean backdash, right here, I can get caught by that down forward one. That's why it's better to just learn how to backdash, because obviously, at least you'll escape some of the pressure, right? And then you could throw your own little pressure in. So that's the importance of backdashing, and I think this will change a lot of people's experience in ranked, because being able to get away from this pressure in beginner ranks is huge. People will just take this. People really will just be there and not know how to deal with this, and then try to hit buttons because they don't have any clue how to beat it. Obviously, you could throw one of these. You have to kind of choose when you're going to do it, because you can't just mash it out as far as I'm aware. You actually have to... Well, I guess you kind of can. You could also throw a dick jab, but dick jabs get hit by down forward one, right? That's why I made this string the way that it is in recording. It's like a very intermediate bullshit string of moves. It's not real, of course, but it's what you might see. Especially when someone who's better than you is playing against you and they want to make you feel really stupid. That's what they'll do to you, because they know beginners won't sidestep, and they know beginners won't really power crush things. They'll just hit buttons, right? And I mean, that's, you know, you're a beginner. Like, we can't really expect you to do a million other things, right? Okay, so for this general movement thing, for beginners, you don't have to just block and take it. You can throw backdashes in, and you'll still be blocking as you're backdashing. That's the important thing to know in this whole lesson. That's the TLDR. For intermediate players, you should already know that you could backdash and block at the same time. You probably know about Korean backdashing. You know why it's not good for you. Chances are you know about wave dashing and why it's not good for you. You know why it's really cool, but you don't know why it's awful. Unless you play Mishima, then you absolutely know how awful that is. If you're a King player, I mean, welcome to the wave dashing game, but it's not very good. It really isn't. It's good in insanely high ranks where people are really scared of this, because they know that you mean business. They know that you might actually do something with it, right? But in our case, beginners and intermediates, no one is going to respect this. Nobody cares. They're just going to do exactly what this guy's doing. They're just going to fucking punch you out of it and not care. Okay, so we talked about sidestepping, sidewalking, moving forward, and backdashing. The only thing really that's left for us to talk about is move evasion. Obviously, you'll know better than me what your character's evasive moves are, but I can explain the utility of them without necessarily showing you your own character's evasive moves. Things like this. This will go under a bajillion things. It's been kind of nerfed in the latest patch, but when he's doing his little... When he crouches down to do his little uppercut, he basically goes under a million things. He ducks down and he goes under a bunch of stuff. Hop kicks go over... Alright, I gotta turn that off. It's too good. It's too good. So this, you can obviously go under the low by jumping. That's just natural evasiveness. That's a low crush. Jumping moves are typically a low crush. and crouch moves are typically high crushing, which means that you'll go under jabs, right? But particularly what I'm talking about is moves with natural evasion. Things like this move, which have a natural sidestep in them. So let's just put it back to block. As you can see, very useful. Like, this is a crazy useful move. This, it's kind of insane to me that this move isn't punishable on block. It is now punishable on block for other characters, like Feng. It is not punishable for Jin. That means Jin is the main character and therefore the coolest guy. And I'm all for it. But this is a move with built-in evasiveness, because it lets you sidestep and throw a move at the same time. Okay, so what are some other moves? So this one isn't as clear because a lot of people don't do it, but Jin can do two things. He could go into Zen from, while standing 1-2, and while he's in Zen, he's crouching, which means he will duck the jab that comes afterwards because it's a high. And then from there, I mean, you could punish, right? Okay, that's one form of evasion, is his Zen stance will put him in crouching. It's really cool. It's really useful. Everybody knows this, especially Jin players. Okay. The other form of evasive moves that Jin has is he could backdash out of certain things. So while standing... God damn it. While standing 3, he can backdash. So, it's built into the move, meaning you hold back and he'll do it automatically. If you don't do it, he'll just stand there like an idiot. But if you hold back, he will walk backwards. That lets you punish things. That lets you sidestep things. You could even backdash a little bit more if you think that they're gonna do a further reaching move. And then you could also throw one of those, you know. You have to be really quick with that. But in general, when I use this move, I just try to do a back 1-2. It's very good. It gives you Oki, ton of damage, and it gives you Oki. You could do this from range. Follow it up with some bullshit. So obviously, like I said earlier, these are moves that have built-in evasion, and they're character-specific, obviously. So I know what they are for Jin. I know what they are for Dragunov. I don't really know what they are for most other characters. I know King can do like a little spin jump backwards and forwards where it goes over lows and you could follow it up with like a counter hit into a throw. It's endless. It's literally endless. There's like a bajillion characters in this game, and it just depends on what your character specifically can do. And you're in charge of figuring that out, not me. The point is, I'm trying to show you that they exist and that you should implement them in your game plan. So one of the ways that I do this in ranked is I will throw things out. So like, let's say a move with good pushback. Oh, that doesn't have good pushback anymore. So don't use that. That has good pushback. If they try to do anything after that, I mean, damn. You could do a sidestep to get out of the axis or get off axis, but just understand that certain moves will put you at range so that you could do something about it, right? Forward 4 leaves you at the perfect range to not be punished by a jab. So most people won't throw a jab if they know this. If they don't, well, congratulations, you got a free punish. Do one of these into that, or into duck, I mean, just to keep it clear. You're, how plus are you? +3. So that's more than enough time to do a sidestep. That's more than enough time to backdash. Backdash and punish? Yes. So just keep in mind, you know, don't be throwing moves out just because you can hit the opponent with them. There are a lot of advantageous situations you can put yourself in by giving up a few points of damage in order to secure the next punish. And that's, you know, this is an intermediate thing. Like I said earlier, this isn't necessarily a beginner thing. But if you could build this into your repertoire as a beginner, things like this, then by the time you reach intermediate, you'll struggle a lot less with getting through those ranks. I think, honestly, the most difficult part of playing Tekken is at the beginning and at the end. It is not the middle. The middle is the easiest, most obvious place to improve. The middle ranks is what will teach you exactly what your game plan is missing, and by fixing those like really obvious issues that your game has, you can make it to the higher ranks. But the beginning of Tekken, where you don't know anything, is the absolute toughest, and then the advanced ranks are the absolute toughest again. So there is like a negative bell curve, I guess, where it's just like the middle ranks are pretty easy, but opposing ends are very difficult. And I mean, I think that's pretty much it for movement in general. I mean, there's things like ground recovery, but that's more about defense, and I think that's what I'll go into in the next video. We've talked about your mind game. This video has shown you your different movement options and different things to consider. And the next video will go into general defense, which is something that everyone who plays Tekken is severely lacking. And I think even beginners realize that, because they'd much rather hit buttons than be put in a situation where they might have to block. So anyway, thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed the video, consider subscribing, because I will be uploading that defense video soon. I'm sorry that I didn't upload this video earlier, but I do have, you know, work and a life and all that. Anyway, yeah, thanks for watching. I'll see you later.